Okay, so hi Bill, how you doing?
I'm well, thanks.
So we are here with Bill Gladstone from North U. Bill, would you like to introduce yourself really quickly for those who may not know about you?
Bill Gladstone. I'm the director of North U, which is the sailing division or the education division of North Sails. And I've been running North U for it'll be 25 years. I started in 1997 with North U.
Oh, so that's a long time. Can you tell me a little bit how you started it? Because I remember it was a nice story. So I'd love to hear that.
I didn't really start North U. The original North U programs were created from North Sails East. I'm not sure who within the company started it, but I know Robert Hopkins wrote the original North U manuals. He was a schoolmate of mine, a couple of years behind me at Yale, and he wrote the original North U books. And North started doing seminars. The more people know about sailing and the better they sail, the expectation was they would get more excited and buy more sails.
Get them hooked up.
You can lose races with all the major brands. You have to sail well. It's not enough just to have good sails. So helping people sail better gets them more excited about their sailing. And I like to see the products used well. And there's so much to sailing beyond sails, and there's so much to learn. So we're always having an interesting time developing training stuff. Just the information and also the way you present information has, of course, changed wildly in the last 25 or 40 years.
Yeah,
the original programs were on overhead acetates and books, and they're not doing it that way anymore.
Yeah, I bet. So how did you actually, I'm not sure if it was you, but probably is. How did you turn North U to be a world leader in sailing training education? Because I know that in the US it's huge. I've been with you in Austin for a J80 clinic, which was amazing. We had 14 boats, 50 odd sailors, 14 coaches. That was quite impressive.
And those are really fun. And part of what makes it successful is we try to tap into the skills of great coaches. One of the things that North has always felt was that the young tigers was what Lowell North did, was to recruit the best young sailors and help them develop new ideas and stay active. And we are fortunate to be able to get some great coaches to come to our event. So that Austin event wasn't just 14 boats and 56 sailors, but also 15 coaches. And it's good fun, a lot of exchange of ideas, active sailors in a variety of different classes, exchanging thoughts and ideas and techniques, different kinds of expertise, riggers, electronics guys, sailmakers, so many facets, and so it's interesting that way, just to get everybody in one place and sharing ideas.
Yeah, because as I said, I was there, and it was really nice, and to see like how the coaches working closely with their teams, and then sitting down on your debriefs at the end of the day with the footage, with the videos, and because you put drones in there all the time, and to see the engagement between the coaches and you and the sailor sitting in the classroom, that was actually that was really nice. That was really eye-opening.
Yeah. One of the things we've all, I think, learned is that none of us is experts in every facet of boat racing, and we don't pretend to be, and we try to draw on the skills of different coaches and the expertise that each one brings. And that's true for sailors in every fleet. You go out and do different things, and some days it's a heavy air day or a light air day or a shifty day. Some days it's all about sail trim. Some days it's all about tactics and crew work, and trying to put all those pieces together and build a good team. It's interesting, fun, and the model of running a clinic and having a team of coaches sharing ideas is the same model for running a good boat.
Yeah, and this is actually quite interesting, because I remember you told me that when you're building the teams for those clinics, for example, you try to figure out event before the clinic, like what is their level of sailing, and try to put them in teams that they are sort of at the same level, which I think this is hard enough as it is. But then you also mentioned now that some days or some teams will work harder on their boat handling, and other on the sail trim, and other on the tactics. And so what is your philosophy into that? Because as I know it, and what I believe is that there's this pyramid of.
We work up the pyramid. At Northview, we believe that boat racing success is built on a pyramid, and the base is boat handling. You have to sail your boat well in order to race it well. So when we go out and train, we practice and make sure our boat handling is good. And then above boat handling is boat speed. You have to be fast to win races. Doesn't matter what you're racing, right? Bicycles, bobsleds, running, cars, boats. You have to be fast. Races are about speed. And if you're fast, then you can win. And then tactics is at the top of the pyramid. And if your boat handling is second nature and your boat speed is second to none, then tactics will win your races. But often people think they have tactical problems, and it's really the base of their pyramid crumbling out from underneath their tactics. They have a good plan or a good play, but they can't execute it. So you have to be able to run your plays. And there's sort of a hidden foundation to the pyramid too, which is preparation. The foundation underground is just coming to the event with a boat that's properly prepared, equipment that's in good working order, so you can play.
Yeah, and this is interesting, because at the base of the pyramid is the boat handling and the preparation, and not right. And I think that if you have it as a second nature, as you said, if you know that you have good boat speed, and it sort of happens to you, without thinking about it too much, because you're well trained on your boat, and if you can tack and jibe and hoist and whatnot, and you can do whatever you want on the race course with good confidence, then it actually frees your mind to look at the race course and have better tactics, better strategic decision, because you don't really have to look into the boat. You can look outside.
Yep. Yeah, you got to work out all that boat handling stuff before you get to the race course. So when you get on the race course, you can pick your head up and look around and be boat racing, not just sailing, and just executing.
And at least when I was sailing a lot more in the past, and I felt that I always have to keep working on my boat handling, even if we got really, really good, and then we stopped sailing for a few weeks, and then we got back into the boat. Like, it would have come back to us quite quickly, but there's always something to improve there, always something to do a little bit better. Even on the communication between the crew, like even if it's a double-handed boat, like the communication on how to tack, when to tack, and whatnot, or how to trim your boat for boat speed.
Now, my observation in watching a lot of races and a lot of training is that there's really no magic. There's no secret. There's the champions are just doing the fundamentals really well all the time, and they're practiced, so their boat handling is fluid and they can pull things off. Their speed is competitive, and they're shifting gears and able to change speeds and change trim with every nuance in change in conditions or sea state, and then they're in the moment and ready tactically for whatever might come their way, and looking around and open-minded enough to be able to see what things are changing and make changes as they go. And just kind of just getting the fundamentals right. And the other part of it that's interesting is to watch if you're on a boat or observing a boat or looking at the Kinetix video off of a boat, you'll find there's a lot of energy on the boats that are leading the races. And as you come back, particularly teams that have expectations to be doing better, sometimes the energy gets low when the standings are low.
Yeah.
And the really great champions are the ones who are able to sustain their effort and focus and energy and work their way back, and make the best of it from here, and not dwell on that, and kind of sustaining good performance even when things aren't all going their way. And that happens to everybody. That we play on and we talk about sports on a level playing field, but here we're on a playing field that sometimes is not a fair playing field. And sometimes things go your way and sometimes not so much. And you have control of some of it, and you got to take care of that part. And the part you can't control, sometimes you just have to.
It's how you bounce back from a bad decision or bad luck or something that went pear-shaped.
Respond to adversity in a positive, or at least sustain your effort.
Yeah. So I know that you touched the technology just in one word. So I think this is taking me to the next question. And so you've been in with NorthU for a while now.
And longer than we'll admit.
Longer than you would admit. And obviously you've seen some technology development during those years in sailing. And I wanted to know, like, how do you use technology in your teaching, in your organization, and how do you see that it's helping you?
Well, so for the immediate use in clinics and programs is mostly the use of video is really powerful. To be able to see yourself immediately or very shortly after performing, and to be able to recognize the situation and then see it from a new perspective, to look at details, to be able to do a video comparison of one boat versus the next and look at those. So getting all that information, just being able to record that so that you have something to review and you have facts to work with instead of it felt good or it wasn't. It's good to have real information, and being able to replay stuff, look back, keep a catalog of video, see real performance. And that's the Kinetix setup, and being able to look at a boat or compare different boats across the course and look at how other boats are handling their tacks or jibes or sets or tactical circumstances. That's huge. When we started to do NorthU, with the programs was on overhead projector and acetates, and we would draw on a wasn't even whiteboards, there were just blackboards. Things have changed a little. We had slideshows for a while, and now it's video and real simulators. We have tactical simulators to show wind shifts and how the impact of wind shifts. We can simulate that in a simulator, and also then show boat tracks, and you can just see when you look at a track of a race, what the critical moments were and when the big wind shifts happen. And that helps you when you go back out to race again, just to be looking ahead and sort of seeing the kinds of situations that create opportunities that way, both opportunities to gain and also ways to protect yourself from losses and staying close.
Yeah, and I also think that, like, when you come back, and at least I saw that quite a lot with you guys in the clinic I was in, and just having everybody sitting in a room, watching the videos, watching the data, it creates like a very honest discussion, a very honest debrief. It's like there's nothing to hide, right? And this is one side of the coin, and the other side is that because you're coaching multiple people on multiple boats and whatnot, so you can transfer the knowledge from one boat really easily to the other, because when you talk about something, they don't have to imagine it, they can actually see it, and they go, oh yeah, I did it as well.
It is interesting to see and be able to compare the boats. Actually, one of the things I'll tell you is when we do the video review, each day we use the same title for the video. It's always called "It's So Easy From Here," because when you see it on video, it's like, oh, of course, yeah. But when you're actually out on the race course, there's so much going on and things are so busy, it's hard to prioritize sometimes. So people sometimes would see video and they would feel badly about their own performance. And it's nice to be able to see the performance across the whole fleet and realize that nobody's doing it perfect out there. Just get a little bit better and learn from this, and don't be self-conscious about your mistakes or errors or whatever. There's plenty to go around. Everybody's got them, and it's easy in review. It's tricky, and when you're actually out there on the race course doing it, things happen so fast, and you don't get a moment you can't pause and rethink it. And so the video helps people to get comfortable with just trying to get better. And actually, the other thing that's really interesting with the Kinetix video that we don't get from video off the boat so much is the audio part, and hearing the communications, and the discussion on the boat, what the channel of communication is, where the information is coming from, how the information is shared, efficiently sharing the information, sort of observations of fact, and sort of what feels good, and trying to bring that all together, so that it's. I think a lot of us were surprised as we looked at the fleet video, at how much we were listening to the audio as well, and how much we could learn from the audio on board.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting and good point.
The boats that were doing really great, the drivers were not that talkative.
Right.
There was somebody in the crew, someone forward, who was looking ahead to see what was coming up. Often someone in the boat helping to organize and plan for the next maneuver, just to kind of clue everybody in where whatever is going to come up next, and just get people thinking ahead, and letting the driver and trimmers focus on drive the boat in the conditions, stay in the moment of where we're sailing right now, and somebody else is looking ahead and thinking about what's coming up next, and feeding that back to the driver so the driver can stay focused right in the moment. So that the audio part was really interesting to see.
And I think this is quite interesting that you said it, because it's important to say that most of your clients in those clinics, they are not professional sailors. They are the average Joe with the boat. You're doing mostly their club racing, maybe going to national championships, but so it's not the pro sailors.
We one, they sort of the weekend sailors, and for a pro campaign or Olympic campaign, they always tell us they're running out of time, but they in many ways have the luxury of time, whereas the amateur sailors have a very limited sailing time, and even more limited practice time, and making the best use of of a limited practice resource by using cycles of video, going through a series of drills and maneuvers and reviewing them and being able to go back out and do it again. You don't get that much practice time. You have to make the very best use of what little time you have. So in some ways, it's as valuable for the less professional sailors as it is for the more professional who have more time available.
That's actually a really good point. And so I know, especially in the past couple of years or so, that people got a little bit less sailing even. And I assume that you were doing quite a lot more webinars during that time.
Yeah,
because you guys doing quite a lot of that.
We did our first webinar with Peter Eisler about expedition in 2007.
Oh wow!
And
so you're pioneers in that.
We worked with Lou Roberts and Peter. We did a test. I was doing a lecture tour in Ireland, and we had to tune in and to Peter. We the particular time, trying to make sure we got the time zones right. I remember, and I was in Galway, and we were practicing those and doing those, and we had reasonably good audience actually for expedition. It's a computer program, so learning it on a computer was pretty effective. But we would always then try to do our tactics and trim seminars. We would always be on tour, going to different clubs and fleets, but also then offer an online sessions as well. And we had very limited traction for that. We tried, maybe our marketing wasn't great, but we could never get a big crowd for that. And then, boy, the pandemic hit, and we were ready because we had done it before, and all of a sudden everybody else was ready to do it too. So we pivoted hard on the 8th of March. Coaching. 8th of March of 2019, I did my last classroom seminar. I was in Annapolis, and the next weekend, everything was canceled from that day forward, and we spent 6 weeks processing refunds for everything that was scheduled for the rest of that year, and switching over. By middle of April, we were doing webinars. We did a series of webinars in April and May of 2019, and people were ready for it then. So that was, and I think we're going to continue the webinar offering, even though we're going back into live classroom. And it is nice to be face to face with people and work that way. We're going to continue with webinars to reach out to faraway places, and some of the events we did this year, we did hybrid, where people were there in person, and I was also broadcast. We did a hybrid event with Dave Perry that was pretty good. Yeah,
that's good. So teaching, face-to-face teaching versus online. I think I know what your answer is going to be, what you like more. Yeah. I also have a feeling that I know that what you're going to say, what is more effective. And if you have to do it like in a hybrid way, is this something you would consider at all, or is it something you guys looking at?
So we did a little bit of hybrid, and we'll be doing more. It's convenient for people who can't get there for face-to-face to be able to attend remotely. The technology is reliable enough and easy enough that it doesn't create a huge burden to be able to produce. You need a little extra help on site to be able to produce that and make sure it's working. But I'd be surprised if we don't continue with a hybrid setup. It's still, the seminars are great. I think they provide a lot of value, and they're a fun way to kind of start to think about sailing as the season starts to ramp up. But it's still, Going out and on the water and coaching is more effective. And actually, I think the most effective is when we do the clinics with multiple boats, where we can have coach on each boat and have other boats to compete against, and practicing, as we say, you know, we're all fast alone. It's when you line up against another boat, you have to find out if you're really fast and pointing high and
and going through the
well.
maneuvers fast enough.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's also fun. It creates when you get multiple boats, you get some competitive energy and fervor to that. I encourage people at home to get a tuning partner. When they go home from our clinics, just find some other boat in your local fleet who's the same. If you're
Close
racing
enough
one
to
design,
you.
you find another boat, and if it's not one design, then find a boat similar to yours, and just somebody you tune up with in practice. And when you go out on race day, you know, meet them half an hour before the start, and just have somebody to line up with. And you don't want the first time you've trimmed competitively for today to be when you come off the starting line. You want to be already tuned up before you get to the starting line.
Yeah. So you're trying to teach, like, you know, proper method and work process into the everyday sailor, like the pros are doing.
You know, I race Wednesday night races in a local fleet. We have on a good day, there will be 8 boats out. And a couple of weeks ago, we were short of crew. And I called around to people I know nearby. And one of the guys I know nearby is Dave Dellenbaugh, who, if you don't know him, is U.S. sailing, you know, racing rules chairman, America's Cup champion, Thistle National champion, Lightning. I said, Dave, you want to go sailing tonight? Are you free? He said, oh, sure. So he came out and sailed with us in our local boat. And before our start, we did 3 practice runs.
Right.
We put him at the helmet. He didn't know his way around our boat. So he said, you drive. You know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
And so he took control. We did 3 practice starts to line up and get ready to race. And we found another boat tuned up, lined up to sail. And we hit the race course. We were ready to race. But
amazing.
Just doing the fundamentals. Like, let's work on our time. This place, there's a little bit of wind, always a little bit of current where we're sailing. So, you know, you're out and back timing for the current and figuring out the ley lines with the current sweep and stuff. Just do a little practice. Nothing, no secrets, just doing a good job with the fundamentals, and kind of working on the communications. So we come into the start, who's going to do what and how we're going to talk about our distance to the line. By doing a little bit of practice with that, we were ready when the race really started.
Yeah, everybody was sort of on the same page and ready to go. Amazing, Bill. I think that would be it for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.